into the WACA-TV kitchen for another exciting episode of What's Really Going On with your two co-hosts, Hanna and Julie Nardone. We are neighbors on Elliott Street, and we started this show so you, the people, could get the information you need to make informed decisions. And just so you know, Jim and I, we do research, we call people up, and we actually try to get to the truth of the matter. And we sometimes find in doing so that some of the information that we've been given is kind of, we don't know where it came from, to be honest. So, Jim, do you have anything to say before we start?
No, let's just start it. That's the way to go.
Okay, so today we will be talking about our new government in town meeting and the override. And if we have time, we will talk about water. Okay, so we have a new government, and I have to say I'm pleased with the way the government's going. It feels more open to me and light. Jim?
Yes, I think that we're experiencing a shiver now. Don't get too avalanchy about this.
Okay.
I think that the way in which the town manager is conducting the review of the Nyanza issue on the rail transit system business is excellent, because he's the first person, including the planning board, who even took some action regarding that Superfund site. And I think he perhaps saved the town of Ashland a very serious issue of having to sue somebody to get it back, so that we could be in control of it and not have it be mismanaged by someone who didn't really know the impact of that on this community if it should break again.
Yeah, and I think you raise a very good point. When we make rather large decisions, it's important that we do the due diligence before we make the decision. I did go to the meeting in, I think it was September, and I got up and I spoke about it, and I, asked for more time to be taken, etc. And it was just full speed ahead. And part of the reason that happened is our government adopted the strong manager form of government in 2007, which basically gives, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's very high, most of the power in the town to the town manager. And the problem with that is that the selectmen don't have as much power, or they don't think they have as much power.
They provided him that power with a 15-day window. In other words, he could go out there and do his decision making, and if the board doesn't like what he's doing or trying to do, they can prevent it from any further action. But that's never been activated since 2007.
Yeah, I really think we need to take a look at that.
Well, just paint the picture of the people, a picture of a current event. We have a house being built on 21 Main Street. That decision and all its issues, planning issues, abutter notice issues, all that was under the control of the town manager and the planning board. And you can see now that was supposed to, if you have to understand that was a scenic route. And if you go to the Historic Commission, you'll find out there are certain conditions that a scenic route provides to save it scenic. Well, that went away real quick, and the Historic Society got overrun by the current management team.
The previous
management team. And consequently, in the best interest of the town of Ashland and in assistance to all those looking for some way to make Ashland look like it used to look back in the day, this has popped up. And now what are you going to do with that in the middle of your town? And that's what happens when you let it go loose and we don't use the proper protection to the community. So that's why we're very happy right now with what looks to be a new kind of government coming in.
Yeah, it feels much friendlier. And I want to let all the viewers know that we've got the town organizational chart. And I don't know if people know this, but at the top of the organizational
They never
chart
saw it before.
is town meeting. The people are at the top of the organizational chart.
Right here.
And this comes into play for town meeting because, again, we talked about this before. The Maytown meeting was very disturbing to me. It had a very weird feel. It did not feel democratic at all. It felt like things had been pre-organized. Certain questions that people wanted answered, where people who wanted it spoke first and last, and then with the solar farm, the people who came out to speak could only speak for 1 minute. And then in the fall, which I could not attend, but I did watch it, all of a sudden it was like, oh, you can only talk 5 minutes, and you can't come up twice. Well, I'm sorry, but this is the town meeting where the people have a real chance to talk about the laws that are being made, the bylaws, the budget, to tell people they can only, out of the blue, after all the years I've lived here and Jim's lived here, to tell us you can only speak for 5 minutes and you can't come up again, when someone might have vital information. It was just part of this not so friendly culture that we had. And I am hoping that our town meeting becomes a welcoming place where people get up and talk. And I wish I brought it, but I'm going to bring it next time. Henry Warren, the Historical Society president, sent me Henry Warren's first little remembrances of his first town meeting. And it was really interesting to watch. And, people should go to the town meeting because it's a great opportunity to talk. You can learn about the laws, and it's a face-to-face kind of thing. People getting up and expressing their opinion. And I think to thwart that in the name of I don't know what, to get certain articles passed, is just a complete slap in the face of democracy. Jim?
Well, I can probably add a little bit to that because I've been here through many town moderators. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that when I was on the school committee back in 1959, it was the auditorium was packed. Every seat was taken, and that was about, in those days, it was about 400 seats for the high school at the time. And people came, and it was a wonderful evening because the moderator invited you to come up and present anything you wanted to talk about and gave you thank you very much, and you didn't get frowned upon, one, for getting up there and not speaking in the proper English or whatever else dialect you were talking in, and then hurried you off. And if you didn't hurry off, it was recommended that you probably had enough and you had to go. And then don't forever come back again, because if you do, you're going to get scolded unless you say something different. But you lose the whole idea. This is your town, speaking to your management and giving them an indication of how you feel about what things are and how they're going. And when you cut that off, you ruin democracy. You've just put it into another dimension, and no longer people start to go away as they have. And now we're down to 2%, the whole town goes to the town meeting. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the management to think that they can only get 2% to show up.
Yeah, something that needs to be kept in mind is that democracy is slow. It's slow on purpose so that the people have a chance to interject, express themselves. If you don't want a democracy, you want a dictatorship. A dictatorship is quick because one person's making the decision. And I feel really strongly that as long as we have this organizational chart with the town meeting on top, that the people should be welcomed. They should be encouraged to speak. If you need to get up another time and give vital information, you hear someone say something, you want to respond to that, you should be able to do that. This notion that we have to be so efficient that we do the town meeting in an hour and a half is crazy, because other towns spend nights after nights talking about the town meeting so that they get everything in, because these are important decisions.
Oh, good.
Oh,
I think we
okay, we're going to move on to another topic. We're going to talk about the override. Now, the override was based, the need for the override was based on this almost $1 million deficit. And I don't know if this deficit was ever really calculated, because I know when I went to a meeting, I did say, well, where are these numbers coming from? And there really wasn't an answer. So the alleged justification for the override has pretty much vanished. There really is no structural deficit. And in fact, last year we got back over $1 million. At the end of the year, there was $1 million left. So how that ever could have been a structural deficit, I do not understand.
Well, I believe the override is not for structural reasons. The schools were using the director of curriculum as an added person to their salaried position, and therefore at one time he swam in the pool of the structured impact. But it later was found, or at least decided amongst themselves, that the gentleman had quit his job, and therefore he was there, and that station had to be filled with someone else. The station still stayed there, and therefore the salary didn't move away from it from one year to the next. So when the new guy, whoever it is, comes in, he'll be paid in accordance with what that job gives, but the money has always been in the budget far and direct, so it can't be something new. So once you move that out of the overrun pile and put it back where it was belonged, because the money was already there, it became something less, and they kept doing that and find out the only problem we had was 2 firemen, going to stop the whole show for 2 firemen. And they came to their senses between their argument with the union and da-da-da. They got the overtime figured out so that these guys could come on board with the money we spent using it for overtime for when people weren't there. So now we're nice and easy. We can run without an override. If we're going to override anything, it's because people want something else added to the system, and that will depend upon whether the people want it or not. And no one has talked about what directly is wanted. I mean, we talked about five new little side yard, I forget what they call them now, but attached to each of the schools to accommodate the
the modular class.
Yeah, the modular houses. And when they got funded $500,000 special funding for that, as a gift from the state of Massachusetts, it had to be used in the year that it was given, and so they had to take it in. And once they took it in, it went out of the request under the override posture. So the override started having holes in it, and now it's just something that they want, and they want some additional funds, and they going to have to ask for them. And the town is going to decide whether you're going to get them or not. But there's no stoppage of schools. The school will continue under the current management, and it'll go at least another year or two. And okay, that's what the situation, as I see it, is today. So don't get too nervous.
Yeah, a couple of other things. There was an article, I think it was in Mondays, Metro West Daily News, maybe Tuesday, the state budget that they're debating, they have put in more money for the cities and towns and more money for the schools. And I have said this, I made the suggestion to the school committee some time ago, maybe a year or two ago. And I say it to other people too. The state is taking all the money and they're like hoarding it, and they're not giving it to the cities and towns. And this has got to stop. And it's really up to the cities and towns to band together, stop being wimpy, and demand that your legislatures get the money, because we really have got very little money since in all the years I've lived here. They talk about it, and you get another 50 here and maybe 20,000 there. We've got the all the 6 million, whatever it is, in unfunded mandates. And it's like, come on, if you want this program, if you think it's important, then fund it. If you don't think it's important, then we don't have to have it if you don't want to fund it. So I think it's important too, you want to make sure you don't cry wolf. That if you really and truly need an override, it's got to be for something. It's got to be for really vital things. Because what's going to happen is people are just going to, you're going to cry wolf, and that's going to be the end of it. And what is important for people to understand is the alleged average 408, 410 per average home, which is now 399,000. That is on top of your normal increase. And my house went up last year when I went to my accountant. It was like 400 more. So mine would be, potentially 400 plus the 410. But then also they're talking about helping out 175. I think it's seniors, so they won't have to pay the override. That money, though, will have to be included into the override amount, which that 410, 415 is going to go up. I don't know exactly what it will be, but it's going to go up. And what's interesting is 2 years ago, someone who goes to town meeting got up and wanted to change the senior exemption from 500 to 1,000, just because it was the right thing to do. And, I said, I agree with that. And I think 10 of us raised our hands, but nobody else was interested. But now suddenly that they're doing the override, suddenly it's like, oh, we want those people to vote for us, so we better give them the exemption. And that's the kind of thing that really irks me. You want to give people the exemption because it's the right thing to do, which people voted down, not because you want to get their vote. To me, that's just, I don't know. I think that's terrible.
Well, this is interesting. What you've hit the nail on the head. Unfunded mandates are a killer. And what the people what we don't know, what we haven't been told enough about, but it's beginning to show up in the paper, is there's a financial war on the horizon, and it's between the charter schools and the state regular schools. There's a significant difference in the monies that they're getting, and now in order to keep the monies flowing the way it is, in the balance that it is, they're going to have to top off any more enrollment in the charter schools, because most parents want their children there if they can get them there. Mm-hmm. And the money's going to shift now from the charter and away from the public schools, and we had better be aware of that and ready for it, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Again, the state has this huge budget. They take the income tax from the workers who live in the cities and towns, and then you get it back in these weird little drips and drabs, or you get it in these grants. And quite frankly, and Jim has experience with this, grants end up, I swear, costing you twice as much. For example, what it costs to build a school. The town is starting in next January. They're starting marching towards a new elementary school. And by the way, in case people have forgotten, the high school was built with the idea that the preschool would be in there. And it's like, people, we have this collective memory that just gets forgotten. And we built it larger for the preschool to now tell us we need a new elementary school when you don't even have the preschool kids in there. It just makes me kind of crazy. I wanted to, we'll keep talking about this, but I wanted to read some salaries for positions. Is that okay?
Well, I read an article. In fact, it was in Sunday's paper, and it talked about the differences between the charter schools and the public schools. And they indicated, the part that I remembered is that the charter school, or the charter school people in the inner city paid about, I think it's $91,000 a year, and the average for the is something like 57 or 58, some number. And it's a significant gap between the two. Maybe it's 70,000 for the regular teachers, and for the charter teachers it's 105, and maybe it's because they're in the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they were,
that was actually the average school salary in the city of Boston. I don't know if it's charter schools or not. Is $105,000. You can go on the Department of Education website. The average teacher salary in Ashland is $75,000. We're going to briefly talk about some salaries because I think we're very, very generous with the salaries in this town. And if you ask people what you think people make, they'll give you a number probably 30 or 40,000 lower than it actually is. And Jim and I both have this list that we were given. And we're just going to read off a couple of positions. The highest paid position in town is the school superintendent position, and that is currently $165,000. And by the way, this is a document that you can get from the town. And what's weird is most towns put the salaries in the town report at the end of the year. And I didn't know this, but all these people have been telling me. And I'm like, wait a minute. People in other towns know the salaries, but we don't. This is of grave concern to me because people are clueless as to what their tax dollars are coming from. Okay, the second highest would be the town manager, $160,000, followed by the police chief, $154,499, assistant school superintendent, $140,760.
she's in the finance. She's the finance manager.
Well, that's.
They call her assistant superintendent.
No, I think it's slash. I think it's assistant superintendent slash. And then we've got principals, and then some IS people, and then a lot of teachers. If you go on the high school website, they'll show you the salary steps. Quite a few teachers make $88,300. I think the entry level for teachers is about 40. Looks like it's, I don't know.
Well, that's got many steps to it. The entry levels are with degree, with more degree, with less degree.
It's complicated because the chart is like if you have a master's degree and you have 5 years experience. But I really think that it's worth the while of people to find out how your money's being spent. And, fiscal year 17, these salaries will be higher. Jim, we have about 4 minutes left.
Okay. Well, I'd like to just interject. This is not, like Julie pointed out, this is not something that hasn't been done for years. When I was involved in the management back in the 50s, 60s, and a little bit of the 70s, the manual that you get at town meeting now, if you're lucky, usually you get it the day of, or you get it, the day of is good, in some cardboard box. We used to get it 2 weeks before because the town bylaw at that time didn't have a charter, it had the town bylaws, and it said that you will provide that to all the citizens in the mail 2 weeks before the town meeting. And in there, as Julie points out, there was everybody's name and everything they made, right down to the dog catcher who worked part-time for like $32.50, was all identified. All that little stuff disappeared when the charter was put together. They just wanted to eliminate that, and they did. And it just faded right out of it, and you haven't seen it since then.
Yeah, there's something odd about Ashland. And, you know, that's why Jim and I have a show like this, because for some reason, the information that other towns willingly paste all over the place for people to see, we don't seem to want people to know. And it can take some work to get the information. I will say, with our new management, it has been so much easier getting information. And, you know, my thing is, why waste energy not giving the people the information they ask for? It just wastes everybody's time and energy. Either post it all on the website, and then you really save yourself time, or just give it to people.
Yeah.
What we had been experiencing before was just asking for things over and over and over again, or being charged money, or it was exhausting and truly unfair as taxpayers that we had such a hard time getting public information. And one thing I want to clear up while I think we got 2 minutes left, and because it's been on the internet. We have 2 firefighter positions that are in the fiscal year 16 budget that have not been filled because there was something going on with the contract and the unions or something. I wasn't at the meeting. I don't know all the details. But so there were 2 people, and if you go on the Ashland website, you can see all the staffing for the fire department. There's a chief, captain, 4 lieutenants, 12 firefighters, 4 dispatchers, 1 executive assistant. There's also 4 on-call per diem firefighters. You know, so and plus the 2 more. So, you know, people have been painting this picture of, like, you know, two firefighters and 1 DPW crew doing all the roads. People, I spoke with the DPW manager, and we signed about 52 contracts last year. The DPW is not clearing the roads. The roads are being cleared by contractors.
Yes.
Just so we're clear on some of the information.
Just so we're not really being cheated. The town of Holliston has 1 fireman. 1.
Oh yeah, we've got 1 minute left. Just so Holliston has, with exception of the chief, an all-volunteer fire department, and the chief said that it worked really well. Everyone is in the community. They have other jobs. Because, again, if you go to the website, you can see how they work in shifts. We've got, like, just a couple of seconds here, and I just want to, again, thank WACA-TV for letting us film this show. We've got the fabulous Todd and Adam behind the camera. They always do a great job. Jim, we've got 2 seconds.
No, that's fine. You did it well.
Okay, we will see you hopefully at town meeting and at the ballot box. And Jim and I will be here probably after all that happens in May.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.